So now on to the third problem with our guest, Andrew Buchanan. Yeah, so this problem is a proof game in 12.0.
Okay, well, here we go, Anrud. See how you go with this one. Now, the last problem, we found that there was embedded in it a little clock. At one point, certain moves had to happen very quickly, because otherwise one player would run out of pawn moves.
Yeah.
But there's another class of retro problem where the clock is kind of external, where you are told this is the number of moves that this position took to reach. And here it's 12 by each side. And so you have to figure out all the moves of the game up until black's 12th move to reach this position here. And this is by a very friendly American composer, Giannati Donati, who was helpful to me when I got involved in the hobby a long time ago. And it's a puzzle I saw, it was on a math site, mathspuzzle.com. And this is one of the problems that really got me interested in this particular subject and the kind of creative ideas that you can embed here. So that's it. Can you solve this retro? Can you find the 12 moves by each side that reach this position?
Right. Black made how many moves? So 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I'm looking at the moves which are visible for now. 4,
Sure.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that is very precise, and also, if you can see, that means the e7 pawn never moved. And if the e7 pawn never moved, that means white captured it. So I have a strong feeling that the white knight on b1 went to c3, d5, e7, captured it on e7. But still, the ordering has to be concise. How does it work? So I'll just try to figure it out. Knight c3, knight d5, knight e7. I don't know, something like knight g6. Oh, I already see a problem, because if you see, now how does the queen come to a4 in time? Because now the b4 pawn is blocking the way.
Yeah.
So I guess in this way the ordering kind of is fixed. So first the queen comes to a4, then only does the pawn goes to b5, and then only does this bishop, which was on a6, capture on e2. Alright. So how we have to capture this e7 pawn in how many moves? Because black has 2 spare moves, I guess. b5, bishop a6. And after that, b4 is not possible. And so is like bishop d6 or something like that, because the bishop can't move if the pawn is on e7 yet. So how does this work? And it also can't be the black pawn made a move, because like I said already, black has these 12 moves designated, and e7 moving, the e7 pawn moving was not one of the moves. So interesting. Pawn e4, take. No, that didn't work. Three, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll just count again, just in case if I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, so All these moves are fixed for sure. Oh, so maybe what could have happened was knight c3, knight d5, and knight e7, and this time the black knight captures it.
Okay.
And it's on its way, it's going to g6. And now, what other pieces are missing from the position? The white pawn on e2 has to be missing. But this most likely a black bishop can capture on e2. So, does white have nothing to do? Really? Bishop. So now let's say white just plays knight f3, knight g6, knight g1, bishop g6, knight f3, queen h4, queen a4, b4, bishop takes, king f8. And why does this not work? Is my question.
Well, no, because you've run out of time. Who moves last?
Oh, it is black who is moving last. And white just played knight f3, knight g1. Oh my goodness. So this was 12.5 and not 12.0.
It would have been, yeah.
Makes
but
sense.
Your basic approach, when you find something, to try and just play it out and see what goes wrong, that is a really good idea. The problem was that you fell asleep during the middle of doing all those things, and so you played the extra white move at the end.
Yeah.
But with this approach, the best that you can do is this position that you're showing now, which is not the desired position. Correct. So what does that tell you?
A tempo, but then it was only the knights who were moving. And just to tell you, knights can never make a tempo move. They can, like, let's say if the knight on b1 has to reach d5, it can only do it in even numbers. So either 2, or then waste a move and then come back 4, 6, 8. It can never do it in 3, 1, 5, 7. Unless, so it's either even numbers or odd numbers. So how is my question? So maybe this pawn on e2 was doing something. But what? So let's try again from the start. Knight c3, knight d5, knight takes. And now let's say this pawn moves. Moves again. Okay, no. Let's say first bishop d6. Bishop g3. No, that's not needed. So maybe what happens is, I'll try again this time. So knight c3, knight d5, take, white plays e3, e4, e5, e6, e7, e8 to a knight, queen h4. How does this knight get to e2 in time to get captured? No. And alas, that's not possible.
So how many moves have you used so far? How many white moves is that?
That is, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Right.
And then I want.
And you're right. There's no way he needs 4 moves to get back to e2.
Yeah. So maybe e3, e4 is not necessary. I'll try again. Knight c3, bishop a6, knight e7, e4, e5, sorry, e6, e7, e8 knight, bishop g3, You can't go to f6, beware, because it will give a check. So it has to go to knight d6, queen h4, knight e4. No, it can't be knight e4 either, because then it blocks the way. So it has to be knight f5. Oh, wow. And knight d4, knight e2, and bishop takes.
There you go.
Oh my goodness me. So just for that tempo, we had to do so much into promoting this piece into a knight and then just coming back on e2, and it's unique as well, which is interesting because in one, it's just blocking the queen's way if it goes to like either c4 or e4 or something like that. So, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's great. Something that you might want to emphasize is that all of the roots of the black pieces avoided the e-file, except for the knight who captured on e7 once. So this pawn on the e-file, once it had moved, and it was the only way that you could lose parity, that you could go from even to odd or whatever. Once it had moved, it had to go all the way, and it could only be captured on e2 or possibly some other square. It's possible that the because you kind of sort of move forwards, but it turns out that that e square is the only one where e2 is the only one where the knight can be captured. It can't be captured on a4 because that queen capture happens way before black's last move. It can't be captured on b5 because that pawn never moves. It can't be captured on g3, on g6 or f8 or g8 because the those pieces have to clear out the way before the pawn promotes. So, and the other one is the bishop on g3, but it can't be that one either. So the only square that that knight can go and be captured on is back on e2. So that is a home circuit. The pawn starts, goes all the way to be promoted, comes right back to the square that it started on 9 moves later, having its sole purpose being to lose, to go from an even to an odd number of moves, and then it's captured immediately. And so that's another example of Knight Cherriani-Frolkin, but a very different one from the one that we saw in the previous example. And so the other point I want to emphasize is there are two kinds of tempo. There's the tempo where you're racing, ding, 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 where one number has to be bigger than another number. It's an inequality. And the other kind of tempo we're encountering here is a parity tempo, where the absolute size doesn't matter. White has got, after the third move, white has nothing to do except that white must play an odd number of moves without changing the position.
Yeah.
And so that's it's a different aspect to the notion of time. But well done. I mean, that's not an easy problem either. And that's a typical kind of storytelling problem by Gianni Donati. I think he's a very fun composer.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Yeah. So yeah, simply wow. I mean, we do get quite a lot of idea on how to handle these retro problems and try to solve them. And so thank you, Andrew, first of all, for helping us preparing these 3 problems to discuss and giving those hints whenever necessary, and just preparing these brilliant problems. And each one of them had some aspect which was simply wow. And so on that note, I'm going to say goodbye with a promise to bring more knowledge on chess composition and on the table to our next segment. Stay tuned with us and keep hopping.
Thank you. Thank you, Anna. Really appreciate it.